Stop scrolling. Look at me. Look at your life right now. Look at where you are versus where you thought you would be at this age. Look at that dream you've buried so deep you forgot it existed. Look at that goal you started with fire but now feels like cold ash. I know that feeling. I know what it's like to wake up tired before the day even begins. I know what it's like to do work that feels meaningless, to put in hours that disappear into a black hole, to wonder if anyone would even notice if you just stopped. You're bored. You're burned out. You're one bad day away from quitting. Before you close this video, before you escape back into the endless scroll of distractions, I need to tell you about a man named Thomas. You've never heard of him. Nobody has. He wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He didn't write books or give speeches. For 40 years he did one job, one simple, repetitive, forgettable job. And one day he taught a powerful CEO, an arrogant architect, and an entire construction crew the real meaning of success. His story will change how you see your work. It will change how you see your struggles. It will change how you see yourself. This is the story of the last brick. The year was 1997. In the heart of a booming city, they were building the Magna Tower, 70 stories of glass and steel. The tallest building in the state, a monument to human ambition. The architect was a man named Julian. Young, brilliant, arrogant. He had won awards before he turned 30. His designs graced magazines. People called him a genius and he believed them. The project was 3 years behind schedule. The budget had doubled. The investors were screaming, and Julian was feeling the pressure. On the ground floor, there was an entrance. A grand archway. Julian had designed it with traditional brick, not concrete. A nod to the old world, he said. Authenticity, he called it. In truth, it was the least important part of the building, a decorative afterthought. Nobody cared about it, especially not the investors who wanted the building finished yesterday. That's where Thomas worked. Thomas was 67 years old. He had been laying bricks since he was 16. 51 years. His hands were a roadmap of scars and calluses. His knuckles were permanently swollen. His back ached every morning. But every morning he showed up, and every day he laid bricks. Not fast. That's what everyone noticed first. He was slow, painfully slow. While others worked with machines and poured concrete by the ton, Thomas handled each brick like it was made of gold. He would pick up a brick, turn it over in his hands, study it from every angle, run his thumb along its edges. Then he would set it down, pick up another, and do the same thing. Sometimes he would reject 3 or 4 bricks before finding one he liked. Only then would he spread the mortar, a perfect, even layer. He would set the brick in place, tap it gently with his trowel, once, twice. Then he would wipe away the excess mortar with a smooth, practiced motion, check his level, and finally nod to himself, satisfied. Then he would start the whole process over again. The young workers mocked him behind his back. They called him the tortoise. They said he was living in the past. They said machines would replace him soon anyway. Why work so hard on something nobody would notice? One of them was a kid named Matteo, 19 years old, ambitious, eager to climb the ladder. He wanted to run sites, not sweep them. He wanted to be somebody. Matteo would watch Thomas from a distance and shake his head. What a waste, he thought. A whole day for 50 bricks. A machine could lay 500 in an hour. The old man was a relic, a dinosaur waiting for extinction. He said as much to the other workers during lunch. Why does he even bother? Nobody's going to see that arch up close. They're going to walk through it to get to the elevator. It's just a doorway. The others laughed. Thomas wasn't there. He never ate with them. He ate alone, in his corner, staring at his work. One day, a man in an expensive suit walked onto the site. His name was Sterling. He was the primary investor. The man with the money. The man who could shut the whole project down with a single phone call. He found Julian in the site office. The walls were covered with blueprints and renderings of the magnificent tower. Sterling didn't look at any of them. He looked at Julian. 3 weeks behind, Sterling said. 2 million over. Explain. Julian stammered. Supply chain issues. Weather delays. Labor problems. Excuses. Sterling listened with cold, dead eyes. I don't care about your problems, Julian. I care about results. This building needs to open. The shops need to rent. The offices need to sell. Every day you're late costs me money. Every dollar over budget comes out of your future fees. Julian nodded. Sweat beaded on his forehead. Sterling walked to the window. He looked down at the construction site. His eyes landed on the archway, on Thomas, slowly, painfully slowly, placing another brick. What is that? Sterling asked. The entrance arch, Julian said. Traditional brickwork. For authenticity. Authenticity. Sterling laughed. A cold, hollow sound. That's your problem right there. That old man. How long has he been working on that? A few months, Julian admitted. A few months. For a doorway. Tear it down. Pour a concrete frame. 2 days. Done. Problem solved. Julian's heart sank. But it's the signature of the building. It's the first thing people see. People will see a 70-story tower, Sterling snapped. Not a few bricks. Do it, or I'll find an architect who will. Sterling left. Julian stood alone in the office, staring at the blueprints. The beautiful blueprints, the perfect design, compromised, ruined by money. He walked down to the site. He found Thomas at work. The old man was studying a brick, turning it over slowly, examining it like a jeweler examining a diamond. Thomas, stop. Thomas looked up. His eyes were calm, peaceful. He didn't seem surprised. Julian took a deep breath. We have to take it down. The arch. The investors want it gone. Concrete frame. 2 days. I'm sorry. The words hung in the air. A dozen workers stopped to watch. Matteo watched from a distance, smirking. Told you so, his expression said. All that work for nothing. Thomas set down the brick. He wiped his hands on his pants, slowly, deliberately. Then he looked at Julian with something that wasn't anger. It was sadness. Deep, quiet sadness. Son, he said, can I show you something? Julian was confused. Show me what? Thomas walked to the pile of remaining bricks. He picked one up, brought it to Julian. He pointed to a tiny mark on its surface. A small, dark fleck, barely visible. See that? Thomas asked. Julian squinted. It's a fleck. It's a brick. What does it matter? The whole thing is coming down. That's not just a fleck, Thomas said. That's iron. A tiny piece of iron pyrite. Fool's gold. He set that brick down. He walked to the arch itself, to a brick near the bottom corner. He pointed to another mark. Faint, discolored. This brick has a different impurity. Lime. When I saw the brick with the iron, I knew I had to find its partner. Its partner? Julian asked, confused. A brick with lime and a brick with iron. If they touch, over time, they react. Moisture gets in. They expand at different rates. They create a weak point. A crack starts right here. Thomas pointed to where the 2 bricks would meet. Over the years, that crack spreads. The weight of the arch pushes down. The weight of the tower pushes down. It might take 50 years, but one day that entrance fails. Silence, absolute silence on the entire site. Even the distant machinery seemed to stop. I don't know the science words for it, Thomas said. I just know the bricks. I've been matching them for 40 years. Every single brick in this arch is paired with another brick that will be its friend, not its enemy, for 100 years. Maybe more. He looked up at the tower looming above them. You're building something tall, Thomas continued. That's beautiful, but it doesn't matter how high you build if what's holding it up is cracked. Julian stared at the arch. He saw it differently now, not as a pile of bricks, not as a decorative afterthought, but as a complex system, a living thing, a foundation. He looked at Thomas. Really looked at him, for the first time. How do you know? Julian asked. How do you know which bricks go together? Thomas almost smiled. I listen to them. Listen to them. Every brick has a story, son. Where it came from, what it's made of, what it's been through. You can't see it if you're in a hurry. You have to slow down. You have to pay attention. You have to care. Mateo heard everything. He was standing 20 feet away, but the old man's voice carried, and every word hit him like a hammer. He thought about his own work, the shortcuts he took, the corners he cut, the things he rushed through because nobody would notice. He thought about all the times he mocked the old man for being slow, for caring too much, and for the first time in his life, Mateo felt ashamed. Julian didn't tear down the arch. He couldn't, not after what Thomas showed him. He went back to Sterling and fought. He fought hard. He talked about integrity, about craftsmanship, about the difference between a building that lasts 50 years and a building that lasts 500 years. Sterling thought he was crazy, but he was also curious. He came down to the site. He watched Thomas work for an hour. Just watched. The old man never noticed him. He was too focused on his bricks. After an hour, Sterling walked away. He didn't say anything, but the arch stayed. The tower took another 2 years to complete. Thomas worked on the arch the whole time, not because it took that long, because he kept refining it, adjusting it, perfecting it. People started to notice. Workers brought him coffee in the morning. Julian visited every week just to watch. Even Sterling came down sometimes, standing in silence, observing. Mateo started staying late, not because he had to, because he wanted to learn. He would sweep around Thomas's work area, organize his bricks, bring him water. Thomas never asked him to, but he noticed. One evening, Mateo finally spoke. "Why do you do it?" he asked. "Why do you care so much? Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to see." Thomas didn't look up from his work. "I'll know," he said. "The bricks will know. That's enough." The last brick was laid on a Thursday morning. A small crowd gathered. Julian was there. Sterling was there. Mateo was there. A dozen workers stood in a semicircle, watching an old man finish his masterpiece. Thomas held the final brick in his hands. It was perfect. He had saved it for last. He applied the mortar. "Sman, Eden." He looked at the crowd. "This is the keystone," he said. "The last brick. Everything before this was preparation. It's the brick that locks all the others in place. It carries the most weight. Without it, the whole thing collapses." He held the brick up. "This is your work," he said. "Every day, every hour, every task you think is small, every brick you think is just a brick. It's all preparation. You're building something, and one day you'll be asked to lay your last brick. The one that makes it all stand." He placed the brick into the gap. It slid in perfectly. He tapped it with his trowel. Once, twice. He ran his finger along the mortar line, smoothing it, perfecting it. He stepped back. It was done. The crowd was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone. Thomas stood there, hands at his sides, watching his work. He didn't smile. He didn't wave. He just nodded, satisfied. 10 years passed. The Magna Tower became a landmark. Tourists took pictures in front of it. Businessmen filled its offices. Shoppers crowded its stores. Thousands of people walked through that arch every single day. Not one of them knew its story. Julian became famous. He designed buildings all over the world. But he always told his young architects the same thing. "Slow down. Pay attention. Care." He told them about an old bricklayer who taught him more than any professor ever did. Sterling retired. He became a philanthropist. He funded scholarships for trade schools. He gave speeches about the dignity of skilled labor. He always started with the same line. "I used to think a brick was just a brick. Then I met a man who taught me otherwise." Mateo became a site manager. He ran big projects, complicated projects, and he ran them differently than anyone else. He didn't rush. He didn't cut corners. He walked the site every morning, looking at the details, talking to the workers, listening. His crews loved him. His buildings were solid. His reputation grew. One day, a young worker came to him, eager, ambitious, in a hurry, just like Matteo used to be. "Come on," the young worker said. "It's just the foundation. Nobody's going to see it. Can't we pour faster?" It ain't done. Matteo looked at the young man. He remembered being that young man. He remembered the old man in the corner. He remembered the shame he felt when he finally understood. "Let me tell you a story," Matteo said, "about a man named Thomas, and the single brick with a fleck of iron in it." Thomas passed away peacefully a few years after the tower was finished. He was 74 years old. He died in his sleep. No pain, no suffering. At his funeral, the church was packed, not with family. He had no family. His wife had died 20 years before. His children never existed. The church was packed with construction workers, bricklayers, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, people who understood. Julian spoke. Sterling spoke. Matteo spoke. They told stories about the old man, about his hands, about his patience, about his bricks. After the funeral, they buried him in a small cemetery on the edge of town. His grave marker is simple, gray granite, no dates, no titles, just 4 words. He laid good bricks. So I'll ask you again, what's your brick? Is it a report you're writing, a code you're debugging, a child you're raising, a meal you're cooking, a floor you're sweeping, a sale you're making, a class you're teaching? Are you just doing it to get it done, or are you building something that lasts? The work feels small, the recognition feels far away. The temptation to cut corners is always there. The voice in your head tells you nobody will notice. Nobody will care. Just get it done. Move on to the next thing. But you'll know. The work will know. And one day, when you lay your last brick, you'll look back at everything you built, and you'll either see cracks or you'll see strength. Thomas didn't become rich. He didn't become famous. But he became something better. He became the standard. He became the story they told. He became the reason a generation of workers decided to care. That's what integrity does. It outlasts you. It echoes beyond your years. It becomes the foundation for things you'll never see. You will never know the full weight of your work. You will never meet the people 50 years from now whose lives are better because you chose to do your job well today. You will never see the cracks you prevented, the disasters you averted, the futures you strengthened. But that doesn't mean they aren't there. So here's what I need from you. If this story meant something to you, if it made you want to look at your own work differently, if it reminded you that small things matter, then help me spread it. Hit the like button. It takes 1 second, but it tells the algorithm that this content matters. It helps more people find this story. People who need to hear it. People who are ready to quit. People who have forgotten why they started. Share this video. Send it to a friend who's struggling. Send it to your team at work. Send it to someone who needs to be reminded that what they do matters. You never know whose life you might change. And subscribe if you want more stories like this. If you want to keep building. If you want to be part of a community that believes in doing good work. Hit that button. Turn on the notification bell. Don't just watch and forget. Take this story with you. Go to your work tomorrow, look at your pile of bricks, and lay the best one you've ever laid. Because in the end, nobody remembers how fast you worked. They remember how well. Go build something that lasts. I'll see you in the next video.